Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Modern Enterprise Architecture Meetup brought to you by FromHereOn. So today's topic, vibe coding for non-technical users and the future of work in enterprise. So good afternoon to those of you in Australia and New Zealand, and good morning to our early risers tuning in from UK and Europe. Please take a moment to introduce yourselves in the comments and let us know where you're watching us from and what you do as well. So it would be great to know. We're going to discuss how AI and vibe coding are changing the way we design, build, and share knowledge across organization. We'll start with a look of how quickly the field has progressed and what thought leaders are saying about this shift. And then we'll jump into live vibe coding demo, of course, showing what's actually possible right now. And finally, we explore how vibe coding can enhance knowledge sharing and collaboration inside enterprise. And as always, we encourage you to participate, share your thoughts, questions, or just quick hello in the comments will be great. If you're not saying hi, we don't know that you're here. So we're live on YouTube and LinkedIn today. And our purpose is to create a space for architects, leaders to connect, exchange ideas, and grow as a community. So I'm Jana Martins, talent and community lead here at FromHereOn, and I'll be your host for today. And I'll pass it on to our speakers to introduce themselves. We'll start with Jack, please.
Hello, great to meet everyone. My name is Jack Steele. I look after data and AI at FromHereOn.
Thank you. Over to Aaron.
Thanks, Jana. Hey, Aaron Kuzlins. I'm a manager at FromHereOn. Been here for about 2 years now. I've spent the last couple of years going deep into the trenches of vibe coding and learned all the tips and tricks. So yeah, excited to share a few things with people. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Jerome.
Hey, I'm Jerome Thévenot. I'm Director Capability at FromHereOn, and I'm basically in charge of developing our method and organization so we can stay the top modern architecture company in Australia and New Zealand.
Perfect. And we have quite a few people saying hi. It's great to see so many people joining in the different spaces. Auckland, New Zealand, a lot of people from New Zealand. Simon's here. Great to see you as well. So plenty of people. Melbourne, New Zealand as well. Really New Zealand audience today. Go New Zealand. Anyway, guys, if you're not from New Zealand, make sure to comment. It looks like it's a lot of people from New Zealand today. And before we jump into the topic, I just want to quickly share results of our little poll. So we ran a quick poll on LinkedIn just before this event. It only went for a week. And we ask you, have you started experimenting with the vibe coding in your organization? And if you haven't voted in our poll on LinkedIn, that's your opportunity. So just maybe put in the comments. We're curious to know, those who's joining us live right now, have you started experimenting with vibe coding in your organization? So what do you think? As you can see, we had 27 votes, and probably because people who following us is, quite innovative. It's a really positive response here. Yeah, majority of people think that vibe coding is great and it's good for prototypes. And there's a few people who, can't trust it yet and maybe not even sure what is it. So I guess I'll just pass it over to Jack. Jack, what's your take on this? Is it what you see at the moment around the tech industry?
Yeah, I think so. I think what we're seeing is these tools are progressing so fast. So if you've been checked out of vibe coding for a few months because you saw, negative reviews maybe on social media maybe 3 or 4 months ago, this thing's only been around since February. The pace at which it's advancing means that from here on, we really think it's fantastic. We're deep into using it, but completely understand how, especially with some of the security concerns, maybe some customers think that prototyping is the best spot for it right now. But maybe throw to Aaron to get your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. No, I completely agree. And you're right. It's amazing how much it's changed so quickly. I mean, you just look at how quickly Claude Code has come up and been amazing, and Replit as well for building those UI apps. It's interesting, the split. I mean, 100%, yes, it's great. I think the things we can do now that we couldn't do a couple of years ago is just mind-blowing. Good for prototypes only. I'd maybe go slightly further than that. I think it's good for some business applications. You can deploy stuff from it. I'm not sure if I'd yet build, infrastructure applications. I feel like if I'm hooking into SCADA or controlling some life support stuff, maybe I'd have second thoughts. But no, definitely agree completely with the poll results there. Yeah.
I think you're a bit shy, Aaron, to be honest. I would go, I think we could, I mean, the reality is when you put this type of application in place, you put a lot of control into that. Who wrote the code is not really material. So the questions come down to the way you go about it. I think it's full production already. It's just a matter of making work. And, I actually have got some example later, but yeah, I think we shouldn't be shy, especially when you're looking forward, right?
Yeah. There's a few people here just saying heavily using it for current project. Simon, obviously Simon love it. Simon been in our show before talking about AI again. Of course, prototypes, smoke apps, POCs, and that's saying somewhere between contrast and prototypes. Yeah, so a bit lesser confidence. Okay. So let's see if it will change after our today's discussion. So I'm gonna throw it back to Jack, and maybe you can just give us a bit of a overview of what's, I guess, happening in the industry, what thought leaders are saying, and where vibe coding is taking us next.
Fantastic. Yeah. So I think taking it right back, I see vibe coding as a bigger change as when we've pivoted from sort of hard coding cards to the sort of PCs and sort of higher order languages that came through. So on the left-hand side here, 1957, coding physical cards, putting them in machines, getting to read them, building up programs from very, very small building blocks, and that being a very, very niche skill. So only probably a few hundred people across the world doing that maximum, because there are only very few machines and they're all in large research facilities. So you're going from tens of people, maybe hundreds at that point. Then we get to the sort of the personal computer and the ubiquitous languages to be able to program, and you're getting hundreds of thousands of people coding, maybe a few million. The point about where we're going now with vibe coding is we're going to have billions of people able to code. Literally, the barrier to being able to get stuff done is very, very low. And these tools are just increasingly effective. They're getting much more effective each month. I don't even say each year. So where we were 3 months ago, Replit, for instance, is way further on than that. So its revenue, its annual recurring revenue, has increased from 3 million to 150 million in less than 12 months. That's quite unprecedented. That's basically on them making a huge bet on citizen coders or vibe coders just building things themselves. So that's a 3 billion revenue. We saw a couple of years ago ChatGPT going from 1 million users in less than 5 days. These kind of scale ups, they're just not possible without these kind of tools. And I think it's going to revolutionize how enterprises deliver things, because their staff now have the tools to make things, really great things happen. Instead of this being a theoretical debate or a history debate, I think it's much more important that we show you what these tools can do. So I'm going to throw across to Aaron, who's going to start showing you how to code up a project, and we'll show you how that ends at the end of the vibe coding session.
I'll even unmute myself. That'll be useful. Thanks for that, Jack. Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's amazing how quickly it's taken off. And I think, this is going to be a core part of so many people's jobs in the future, building new applications. It'll just really change everything. So I've been developing agents for a little bit now, agents and AI applications, as part of consulting engagements, going in and leaving behind agents to be able to continue functions after we move off. So in doing that, I've definitely spent my time going through, ChatGPT, using ChatGPT a fair bit, but also using GitHub Copilot. Claude Code has been great, as well as Replit for a significant amount of development, even some quite large ones that we've dropped recently. So throughout that, I've had a lot of time to iterate and try and hone the skill of vibe coding, because I don't think it's something where you just give it a shot and it'll work amazingly first time. I think it's another skill that you have to practice and become good at. So I was thinking, as part of this, let's do one live and see what happens. So one of the big things I learned early on was don't just start building straight away necessarily. You really want to spend the time to think through your idea and make sure you have a clear ask of the system. And I often use just ChatGPT or something to flesh that out a bit before moving into Replit. So I'll just start out ChatGPT, and I've got some prompts ready. So all I'll say is something along the line of, okay, I want to build an application that can take in an AI use case and assess it under the NIST AI risk management framework. So, you know, a high-level sentence, a little something of just, this is what I want the app to do, right? Any additional context needs to be added in. It's always good to say, great, I want you to use an LLM in this way or another, or else you'll end up going down regular expressions, paths, and that sort of stuff. So if you want it to use AI, you need to tell it that's what you want from it, and give it some idea of what you want back. So it provides some assessments based off each dimension of the NIST framework. And so the next thing I found to be really useful is actually explaining to, like when developing the prompt, is to think through what the user flow will be. I'll get this thinking about it while I talk. So this little demo app that we're making up that we'll share the link with after the webinar, what I want the app to do is for a user to enter use case text, so describe some kind of AI use case, maybe press a few buttons to describe the kinds of data that go into it, you know, PII, health, something along those lines, and then have the user click analyze, and then I want the application to show me a page of results. And then a final little wrap up of, can you please turn this into a prompt for me to using Replit? Replit has a upper limit of 300 words in the initial prompt. And here we go. So we've got, it's set it out for me quite well. It's got the core functionality, great. Technical requirements. See, this is a problem. So if I want to talk just business language, I'm going to want to take that out. So what I'll say, keep it just business language. No technical. Also, I realized I didn't specify anything about the UI as far as design style. So if I don't tell it anything, it's just going to make something up, and that's not what I want. So I'm going to ask it to add in maybe a glass morphic style. There we go. So quick iteration. This is a stage where I can spend a bit of time going back and forth, because really the time you spend here saves you so many credits down the track and so much time. So great. It's given me a really nice, clean prompt. I'll take that, jump straight over to our Replit instance, pop it in, and might as well give it a nice theme while we're at it. And away we go. Now, so that's going to chug away in the background and build this application. So if it's done before they throw it back to me, then we'll have a look through it. If not, we've got one we made earlier. So while that runs, I'll throw over to Jerome, who's been working on some really interesting problems around knowledge bases. It's been a tough nut to crack, but he's done an amazing job. So take it away, Jerome.
Yeah, thanks for that. So, I mean, I think Aaron's trying to get the people around that's not around the vibe coding, around the prototyping, fast prototyping, far things. I'm going to take it one then further and show you can do real enterprise level type of things there. And so what I want to show you is what we've been able to do with the knowledge management system for FromHereOn. So this is a core system for us, because that's what our consultants work with every day. It's the accumulated IP we had of 23 years. So it's huge database of everything we've done. It's compartmented because it's client sensitive. It's got a lot of data. And to be able to extract and turn into something usable, and I'm not talking like just finding the documents here, I'm talking making sense of the IP and the data behind that. We built an advanced AI-based KMS. And to give you some order of complexity, so we're not talking crazy stuff, but giving 95,000 lines of code, 16 system integrations, 9 GB database, we've got a full CI/CD pipeline, all the stuff, full automated, zero line of code written by a human. So there's two of us working on that project. not even full time. And in 3 months, that's what we've been able to do. It's live, it's production ready, it's secure, it's been tested again and again in multiple sense, and it's been entire design with that incredible team of people and agents. So let me introduce you our product AI, or architecture and dev AI, or data quality and validation AIs, and our integration and SecOp AIs, because believe it or not, so the tool we're using has got a lot of holes. We're complementing where it's not good with other like ChatGPT most of the time. And we give persona to these AIs, and we're making work together to get what we use to, have a development team. And in other life, that's a project would certainly pour like several millions of dollars on the table to do that. And that's something we pull together with basically a 3-digit technology bill, and very, very small team. Now, people say, oh, it's not possible, this is BS and whatever. It's not. And the reason for that is why vibe coding is so good. It's because it automates lots of the work, so you can get very, very, very short cycle. And if you can't get it to production, it's probably because you didn't follow the 3 rules. The 3 rules are below. 1, software, so it doesn't change. Plan, document, review, test, design properly. If you follow the step like you would do on a normal project, there's no reason why it wouldn't work with vibe coding. The only difference is who's writing the code, really. The second is all your agent to account. When you're doing, when this development team working on, they're hold to account into the quality of what you're doing. You should do the same with agents. Now, of course, they're not humans, but if you let them go away with bad code, they're going to do bad code because they're just trying to save their time and just do fast. So same things, same things. And then you want to keep the trade-off. Often in project, when it starts to get big, complexity gets the end off, and getting the trade-off between UX quality, security, all these constraints, and that's the core role of architects. It's actually what's going to make the thing make or break. And so what we've done here is to make sure that we understand this trade-off, and we never, ever let the machine decide those trade-offs. So it's all about the art and science of knowing when to intervene, when you can delegate to the systems. And we've been actually surprised across the project to see the system evolve and say, well, they're getting better at that, or I think we can let go of that, or says, it's not doing it well. So we keep the hands on that lever. So it's kind of, so this is why I'm going, like, you can really do production things here and not just, prototyping. But of course, if you, get your, salespeople that have no clue how to do software to write a very big things, and then you expect, someone's going to take it on and make it work, that's not going to happen. You've got to, basically, like everything, get to thinking right from the start. No magic, no surprise.
So amazing stuff there, John. I've seen this in action. It's a lot more than the stock standard knowledge management agents you get out there. There's a lot more under the covers. But can you maybe talk through just how revolutionary Agent 3 was with Replit, and what this brought to the table, and how you might have been able to do some of the same things previously? Because it seemed like that made some of the security work and some of the other work you managed to get done.
So it's basically the feedback with the persona is, in the past, like, I had to basically export the Git to the Git code to Git and get other AIs to do the reviews for me. Now it's the reviews integrated, so it is actually being very, very good at understanding what's in your live environment, how the infrastructure operates, and having these multiple personas to actually do these things. So I just really don't have to do a lot of manual work. And when there's something that's required a lot of coordination, that's where we actually, we can actually just, intervene in oversight and in control, not in doing. And with the person that helped me on that project, we've been sitting on architecture board for a long time, helping with project and solution and program oversight of architectures. What is coming up is very good. It doesn't have a lot of gaps or stuff he's forgetting. Sometimes it's a bit lazy. This is the moment where you hold it to account. Then come on, have you verified that? But over time, you just save enormous time. So we just got on the governance process we do review, we check it's exhaustive, it's not missing anything, and we just record that. So we keep the traceability of everything. I think that's where it's got, but yeah, it's changed enormously, and it's very important. It's not a coding agent, it's an integrated suite of agents with different roles that makes the difference. And Replit, I think, is the first of its kind really to push it that far, but everyone's catching up, like Microsoft trying that, AWS trying that. They're all gunning for it now. They got it, I think. So I'm expecting a lot of change in the coming month.
Great, and Simon's really have words for encouragement for us. Thank you, Simon, encapsulating your own experience, industry best practice, and your own proprietary intellectual property into value-added set of tools. Thank you. And we have a question from Arjun, and I think, Jerome, you kind of touched on it, but maybe you can build up on it, and maybe Aaron can add as well. Arjun saying, I'm a non-coder building a project with vibe coding. What's the best way to keep it maintainable long-term?
So I think the key things where it's bad at the moment is doesn't know how to refactor code and what makes sense or not. And so what would be the best way is to have a bit of a conversation with an architect of, what are the key design things you need to honor and put in your project documentation, and then hold your agent to account. This is what I'm doing all the times when we're doing a big new feature on the platform, and say, review the design and ask the right questions. So it's harder if you want to make it maintainable no long term, if you don't have these minimal skills, but basically getting to the good principle of designs and getting to write it up until you get it. That's really the way I would be going about making long-term maintainable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think maybe from a really practical nuts and bolts perspective as well, getting these agents to write out like task lists, knowledge bases, having them write out markdown documents of what your plan is for the application, and reading it yourself and making sure you're aligned with it. Because I think making sure the context that the AI agent sees is what you want is super important, especially once you roll off that context window and it forgets what you spoke about last week. That's going to be the thing that saves you. Yeah.
Aaron, maybe we can go back to your demo. I think it did completed the run, yeah?
Yeah. Okay, absolutely. Let's. Do you want to share the screen up?
Yes.
It did finish. It's built it. It's still running through testing. There we go. So it's running through that. So we're probably a few minutes off it actually being up and running. But because it's live,
okay.
Don't worry.
Maybe quick question. Let's see if it will finish. Islam has a quick question. I found that the more detail you give, the more it can box in creativity. How do you decide the right balance of breadth versus depth in a prompt to keep outputs flexible but still purposeful?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. And I think it comes down to, what are you trying to deliver? If you have a narrow box that the client wants and that you need to deliver to, you're going to have to, whip your AI to make sure it stays in the guidelines. But if you've got the latitude to be creative, absolutely, I think let it go, make ideas, and then whittle it down to something useful from there. Jerome?
Yeah, I was going to add. So the code doesn't cost much. So when I'm not too sure, for example, in that knowledge base example, I had a throwaway idea over the weekend. I tried it, and then I spent, I think half a day on it the next weekend, and I throw it away. And that gave me enough things to say, okay, I know what's possible, I know what to ask, and then getting the big build. And that's when we actually met with the team and decided to go. But when you bring other humans on board, that's the moment. Also, you also need to get ideas and stuff, and the AI just become a partner for the team. So don't just throw away stuff if you need to. Throw it fast. That's all I would say.
Chris also have a bit of a concern. I find that AI drifts from patterns, wants to do walkarounds and fallbacks. It tries too hard to be helpful and not addressing errors properly. How are you addressing that?
Yep, definitely fallen over the same one. I think really the only way to do it is tell it no fallbacks. I want you to do it this way, and if it doesn't work, I want you to crash. Because I think it tries too hard to keep everything running, and sometimes you want it to fail so that you know it's not working. And so that ties into kind of your pre-prompts and your markdowns and making sure that you are prompting the agent to do that for you. But yeah, definitely come across that problem too.
Yeah, I got a good tips for that. I think it's bad architects. So I just refuse for him to make any architecture decisions. Even there's a thing in it called the architect. He's a good engineer, but he's bad architect. So when you start to say, "Oh, I'm gonna install a new thing," so don't do that. So you've got to be very directive. Now, the other thing that I do is it doesn't know when to refactor code. Well, I've seen something this week, but I'm not sure it's good there. So is when you've got that patterns of he's starting to accumulate mistake, you stop everything and say, offer me options to refactor the code and analyze that. And then he's gonna pop, oh, I made this, oh, this makes things complicated, and just everything comes back into fall after. So that's actually usually a sign that you need to refactor.
There you go. I think maybe we come back to the demo at this point.
Yeah.
How are we going, Aaron?
Let's have a look. We've got something up and running. Let's see if it works. That's always fun. So as per our prompt, AI use case risk assessor based off the NIST AI management framework. Looks great. Use case description. Let's test it out with a dummy description. So I want to build an application that takes health data information in and predicts treatment options for people based upon it. So this should be off the charts risk-wise, right? I think everyone in the audience should go, this is a horrible idea, don't do this. But let's see what this comes back at. So it's brought in stakeholders and affected parties for me. Great. Come up with a few different kinds of data. We have all of the dangerous kind of data for this. Intended outcome. I want to predict treatment options for people is the intended outcome of this. Go through deployment context. We'll use this internally within organizations. Yep, okay. Hit that, press analyze. Now, something else that I've come across, which is a bit of a trick for people, is these agents often only have knowledge as of when they were trained. And so this, I think it uses, was it Sonnet under the hood? And so it is a little bit old, so they will often fall back to some of the older AI models, so 4.0. So sometimes an iteration loop to get that up to date is good to do. But great, we got a result. So overall risk level, high. Good, that's correct. As we go through, it's ranking all the different NIST AI categories, very high risk, explainability, slightly lower risk. But this is, as I would have expected, this has come back with quite a high risk profile for this. It's actually come up with some recommendations of things, controls that can be put in place to reduce the risks for this particular use case. So there we go. That took, probably 20 minutes or so from an idea through to first cut. And this is something we can put in front of people, test it out, and go, I like this, I don't like that, and refine the idea from there. So yeah, just a quick little demo, and Jana, we can share the link to that in the pack afterwards, right? Is that right?
Yeah, we'll have a blog post on our website, and we put some links there as well so that people can have a look. There's a few more questions coming through. I guess before we go to some main takeaways from the sessions, we have time to answer a few more questions. So yeah, guys, if you have more questions, there's still a chance to pop it in. Vladimir is asking, I made many of AI agents in multiple platforms, but still looking for a best way or universal platform where to place them in production. Do we have any recommendations on that?
I don't think there is a universal platform. I think Replit is great at building some UI applications. I think Claude Code is great if you're doing, like Azure deployment scripts, those kind of coding tasks. I think you have to use a plurality of agents, like use a few of them to try and get the best results possible.
If I was to add anything on that, Yana, I would say that, or Vladimir here, I think this is a market that's going to evolve very fast. So the approach we've taken at FromHereOn is we're trying to be platform agnostic as possible for the live production environment. So we're targeting the normal platforms with either like code on portable environment like Node.js or Microsoft or whatever. But you really want to be open at the moment, because what's be true today may be wrong in 3 months' time. So at the moment, use your platform you have. If it says Azure, do Azure. If it's AWS or GCP, use those. But just keep the code in control and keep it open, because it will change. The good thing is, you can automate code and infrastructure now too. So you'd be in good position quick.
Perfect. Another question, a bit broader one, and forgive me if I pronounce your name incorrectly, Janus, I think. You mentioned agents a few times. Can you provide a bit more clarity about how the agents fit into the vibe coding? So yeah, where is the agents, where is vibe codings?
Yeah, I'll have to take this one. So I think we're using a bit of both. So I think the key thing is you can vibe code a plain vanilla application. It doesn't have to have any agentic content in it at all. What we're finding though is the combination of vibe coding an application and building some agentic capability into it is the thing that makes it interesting. So you can do far more things by having a conversational agent within your application versus a traditional app, which might just have a very fixed deterministic workflow within it. So that's where we're building things, because it adds more to the picture, but there's no need at all to have any agentic flavor within a vibe coded application. You can absolutely create something quite standard, and lots of people just building plain web pages using vibe coding tools, and that's a great use case, and certainly a very good way of deploying simple, straightforward applications if you don't have a strong tech background.
Another addition that sometimes confuses is you've got the agent you build, and there's the agent that you use to do the vibe coding, because there's the agent that codes, the agent that reviews the code, the agent that tests, the agent that deploys. All of that are agents you can basically get to work together. So you don't have anything to do. You just say, yeah, I'm ready to deploy. It's going to do all the testing, all the things that needs to happen, and it's going to tell you yeah or nay, and you can move from there. How that helps.
Perfect. And Matthew has another question as well. Most of IT departments struggle with shadow IT and application regionalization. With the cost of introducing a new application and going down to zero, how do we manage application registrar? Yes.
So I think another really good question. So I like to take a bit of a contrarian approach to the shadow IT problem. So I look at it as what would happen if you didn't answer all these questions? So you end up with a problem, which is you have a bit more application diversity to manage, but actually you're answering a vast number of questions you couldn't answer before. So let's say you were building an application to manage maybe some compliance risk, and you didn't have an off-the-shelf thing that did it properly. You vibe code this thing because you've got the internal skills to answer the question. The trade-off there is so much better to be able to say we've controlled compliance risk, but we have a slight elevation in shadow IT risk. Now, clearly, you can also build internal processes to monitor these things and make sure you understand what's been deployed where as well. But I think I see this as a new class of application almost that's getting built, which is between where we used to see enterprise applications landing and sort of where you might do traditional very low-code work in forms and workflows. This is now very, very custom-specific things which you can deploy yourself. And I think it's going to require an uptick in organizations' capability to manage them. So I hope that answers a bit of the question.
I think if I can add that, Jack, onto that, I'm going to add an AI flavor is, if you're the IT department that offer the vibe coding capability, you can also use agentic solution to control what is vibe coded. So you don't need to look at everything. You can get an AI to look at it, analyze the risk profile, and support or take actions as required. So it's you don't need to do all of these things manually either. Now that's going to put pressure on a lot of the platform, because managing platforms like AWS or GCP with agentic, that's not there yet. That's going to have some security implications. So yeah, all equal change that's going to go. But the thing is going, and it's going so fast. I think we're going to see another wave of, shadow IT happening, whether we like it or not. So let's surf it.
It kind of brings us to a bit of, the overview of today's session. We have a few points that we want to get across as well before we take more questions. Jack, over to you. I guess what's next? What do we see next with vibe coding now?
Yeah, I think you've seen today we've got some great expertise from here on deep technologists. We've got Jerome and Aaron on this call who are very comfortable with deep technology. Now, that's, I think, where we are today. Like, if you're going to build something complex with multiple components and you need to be production ready and you need to do security reviews, there's no real shortcut to having that deep experience at the moment. But we're not far away, I think, from those things being replaced, as we saw with sort of Replit Agent 3, all these extra components helping you. We're not far away from that stuff just being commoditized and done for you. And when that happens, all of a sudden, like, these barriers to entry to building really useful applications go away entirely. And I think the role of the developer changes to one of imagination, to rethink how work can be done. And that's a key skill, which is quite hard. So most organizations, these sort of creativity musclers, has not been well served over several years because everyone's worked within very tight constraints about what's possible. I think another skill that's going to be really important is clarity. So this ability, the prompting we saw from Aaron before, like getting those first prompts really well described to be able to precisely and concisely explain what it is you're trying to do. All of these apps we're building, they're all token constrained. So you making best use of those and doing the best job you can within the window you've got makes a huge difference to the amount of time it takes to get to value. So that's really important. And I think the third bit that developers are going to have to add to their skill set is this ability to connect with their organizations, because as the number of applications skyrockets, the amount of business change is going to be very high as well, because the individuals are going to have to react and be able to adapt to these new applications being in their world, and bits of their jobs will change. So the coders or the developers have to be able to think how these will sit and therefore figure out how to design them in a way that they connect. So I think it's a big change, but I think it's going to be a great change because we'll end up with much, much better productivity as a result.
Jerome, some takes from you.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how to say it better than this is the biggest shock to the tech industry that we've seen in decades, or if not, like, ever. It just changed everything. That's how I feel about it, because we're reducing delivery cycle from months to hours. I'm generous here. And this is just the beginning. This didn't exist like 6 months ago. What's going to look like in 3 years, really? So we had a question around value. So yes, we're gonna be able to deliver value that was untapped before because it was not worth the cost of automating. Now it's gonna be cheap, so we're gonna automate. The second is the software landscape. Hey, what is the worth, putting millions and millions of dollars on that configurable platform to avoid coding if coding is super cheap? That's going to change the balance. And a lot of companies are going to look at that. Oh, how much I'm paying a license of this platform already? Ooh, okay, maybe I just vibe code something. And these are live conversations. We already have clients. We are making decisions. Like, yeah, we're going to go bespoke. And that's new. Like, it's going to change the lens. And last thing, I think we talk, I think, Jack, you mentioned very well about the role of the developer. And I think somehow what it means is the demand is going to be not more deep expertise, but more breadth of skills. And I think it's also going to make the job of the developer much more interesting. Unless you're interested into being cave or receiving a feature request and you're doing unit testing, like if that's not what you like, you're going to be super happy because you're going to have opportunity to take away and do better things, and why did I take care of the the stuff that's not really fun?
Great. Thanks for that, Jerome. And I guess a couple of takeaways I've got as well. So really echoing some of the thoughts before. So vibe coding, it's a new skill. Like I think it's a new thing that developers need to get on board with and learn how to do it well. So a couple quick pointers. One, just really do be specific when you're talking to your AI agent. It's not a mind reader. Think about it if you gave a very competent coder those same instructions, whether they'll be able to build it or not. If the answer is no, then you're asking too much of any system, right? So take the time, stare out a window, think about what the product could be. I think that's it's a really important step, because doing that poorly doesn't just waste your time, it also wastes a bunch of agent credits. And the finance team will really thank you for staring out the window and thinking about it for a bit. And then the final one, going through building some of these big applications, like I think the comment earlier, how do you deal with large repos over a long period of time? You sometimes get stuck in loops. You'll say, oh, I just want this button moved over here, and you tell it to do that, and it doesn't do that. And so you tell it again, and then you tell it in all caps, and you get frustrated at it. And that's the point where you need to stop and go, okay, I'm approaching this incorrectly. Have a think about different ways of approaching it, whether it is going back and doing a bit more of an architectural review and looking at how it's all hung together, if this is actually the right way to solve that problem. And sometimes going through an ideation phase with the agent itself, saying, can you come up with 10 ways we could solve this problem? And putting it on a different path that way will save you a bunch of time and a bunch of money. But I guess the main one, get in, give it a shot, because it's going to be everywhere very soon. All right. Back to you, Jana.
Aaron, do you think you kind of answer our question? What's your best suggestion for someone vibe coding and encounter a stopping point, error not the desired output, where it's stuck and burned and it feels that the project died?
Yep, exactly. I think it's super common. I feel your pain, Ark. Best suggestion, use the agent, ideate over possible solution paths. Planning mode is your friend. Use it. And also, sometimes you get to a point where if you're not moving forward, the best thing to do is actually just to talk to your agent about how the code base works and try and understand it yourself, because you've kind of got an amazing teacher built in. You can say, great, why did you decide to separate front and back end like that? Why have you picked this technology? And you can educate yourself at the same time. And through that, you might come to an understanding of why things aren't working. But I do feel your pain.
We have a few more questions and a few more minutes. I think we can answer 2 more questions quickly. Jana is asking, hi, Jana, 2 Janas, here we go. How do you ensure security with deployed apps?
Yeah, there's a few elements or a few different kinds of security we do here. So I think there's the security baked into Replit, which is great. So that's like a static code form of security. So it scans the code base, and that's great. I think you need to take a bit of a holistic approach as well and consider the risk profile. So there's a lot of open source tools out there that will help you do, dynamic testing, dependency scanning, make sure there's no kind of supply chain attacks, container scanning, as well as live deployment scanning. So I think there's still a bit of a role there for people that understand security to help out. But also consider your risk profile, I think. If it's a small app, you're just using it yourself and there's no secure or private data in there, maybe just the Replit baked in static testing is enough. Yeah. Yep, I think you're muted, Jerome.
Well, Jerome, let's unmute you.
Yeah, I was trying to take the question. That's all right. So there's 2 elements. So in Replit, we have 2 elements. There's the static testing you mentioned. There's also, since agent free, there's a security review function, so you can ask it for security review. My recommendation, though, is that security review doesn't know your profile. So again, you need to tell you what's the nature of data you're doing. Now, for pen testing, if you want to do pen testing, you can also design some pen testing on purpose and have basically just get some pen testing tests arranged, but you've got to be specific about what you want about it. So it's not a button, test security, and you're fine. It's actually, get back to what Aaron was saying, is you need to think about what security means for you. Otherwise, I had the case of, the security review agent say, oh, there's a PII, you can't do that. You look at it, is because I think we were asking the first name of the person just to get a reference, and he was getting excited. So you really got to explain to it. But there's now in replicated free a good agent. The good coding agent like Cloud Code, they can also offer a good security review on top of it. But like security, baked in your requirements and ask for it. He can scan the code for it, and he's getting pretty good at that. So yeah, that's a good way of doing it.
There you go. 2 more questions. He was asking, at what point does architecture stop describing system and start training them?
Can I? Yeah, that's the. I know this guy.
I think I know him too.
do you want? Who wants to start answer that one? Okay.
Jerome, start.
Okay. Well, I will go. I think architects should never be the one describing system. They should be the one driving the systems instead of the directions. And what I'm trying to do is we're trying to describe outcome. At this point of time, the tool is not capable of doing that. And that is simply because it cannot extend its mind and its thinking time in all the direction required. So while it's a good solution engineer, while it's a reasonable security reviewer, a good test reviewer, a good code writer, at the moment, they're bad architects. And this is actually why I'm saying architecture decision off the board for AI at the moment, because he's making really, really, really bad decision all the time if you let him do that. So I think that the AI teams haven't started to crack that out in the Silicon Valley. Maybe at some point they'll do, but up until that, we'll try to build some.
Jack, anything to add to Jerome's point?
Yeah, I think there's a very broad kind of change in industry running where effectively systems are being trained to self-improve based on optimizing their own scoring. So the problem with agents is they don't really know about their context. They don't know where they sit. So the best place for systems to learn is based on having more context about the environment they're running in to know how to improve and how to get better. So, and that's, I think, the next frontier is helping AI agents and AI systems get more context aware. And then obviously architects will be part of that to help, but I think also consumer feedback will then help them improve how they work. And therefore we end up with a completely different way of applications getting upgraded and changed. But I don't think it's actually too far away, but we're obviously probably about 6 months, 12 months away from that point, I think. But yeah, with my crystal ball kind of in the air. But over to you, Aaron. What's your thoughts?
Oh, I don't know. It's a really interesting question because, like, I guess it's, in some elements we already are. Like, we do some of the forward deployed engineering work, and as an architect, we describe what needs to happen, and we start building these applications. So the early parts of that is happening. And I guess I've seen some. Was it Anthropic or something was making a application where you can just describe the application you want and it builds it live for you. It's not vibe coding as such, but it builds it one step ahead of you. So I can definitely see a point where the kind of interplay between architect and software just changes. When is it? I don't know. I'll go with Jack's guess. Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah.
I wish I brought my crystal ball. Next event, I make sure I have a crystal ball with me. So I think it will suit me as well. I need to get a bit of, into the vibe. Okay, last into the vibe coding, into the vibe here. So last question, my favorite one. Simon's asking, at what point do we stop building applications using AI and start building AI using AI? Anyone have a rough guess?
I think it's got started because so when we're talking about knowledge base, there's some code, but there's a lot of AI, and the prompt of these AIs and the training of it well, it's you guess who built it? Yeah, AIs. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's already started. It's already there. It's moving in like we not realize, which is back to the point of the control of the levers, trade-off, and understanding what good looks like. Really, really important.
I would be curious to see. So remember, guys, it's 11th of November, 2025, at which point I don't need to run this stream and the AI agent just come and run the stream for me. So let's see how many months I have. Like next year, December, I don't need to do anything. I'll just rock up and it will change the slide, bring the comments and do all the things. So
it's a good challenge. Yeah. So you're assuring us you are real now, right?
Yes, yeah? Because I can read the comments and answer them live, But I mean, AI can do the same probably. So you never know. Anyway, we're totally running out of time. So many questions today. It's great to see so much engagement from the audience. A good thing, we decided to actually squeeze in one more event before the end of the year. Because we saw, we see so much interest into obviously AI and vibe coding at the moment. So we actually, in 2 weeks, gonna do another event on the 25th of November. We're gonna talk from ideas to impact, accelerating the right AI initiatives. So obviously, we just, talk today about how every organization wants to get started with AI, but too many stall at this idea stage. So in the next live session, we'll share how we ran the recent AI Design Day and brought together some leaders and practitioners to prototype real solutions. You will hear from both facilitators and the clients about what worked and how collaboration with students brought a fresh perspective to solving enterprise challenges. So the real life example again, so the real design day, and we're going to talk about, the outcomes. And also on an exciting note, if you're in Melbourne, we're also going to run another network event to celebrate the end of the year on the 2nd of December. It's exclusive after work gathering to celebrate fellow architecture thinkers. So it's a limited capacity, so make sure to message me directly and let me know if you would like to attend so I can share some secret code with you. And of course, make sure to join our meetup groups to stay on top of our future events. We're posting them there, so you can register for our next event on the 25th of November. And for the networking event, message me directly. And also, of course, if you looking for exciting new opportunity in the enterprise architecture or AI architecture, yes, feel free to connect and message me on LinkedIn. And if LinkedIn messaging isn't your thing, you can also reach out to us via email, talent@FromHereOn.com. Obviously, we also have a career page. You can jump to our career page and see what positions we have open now. Anyway, that's thank you so much for joining. A lot of people mentioning excellent session. Thank you guys for saying thank you. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. So we pretty much see you shortly. Thank you everyone for joining. You can say bye too.
Bye.
Everyone, thanks.